Howdy everybody, this is Steve, KM9G, and today, oh man, I love it. Today is new radio day. We got this 5-watt QRP joint here. This is the trusdx radio from DL2MAN and PE1NZZ. PE1NNZ. I knew I got that wrong the minute I said it. Manuel and Guido have been doing a fantastic job working on this radio. This radio comes to you with a very strong lineage. Hans from QRP Labs made the QCX radio, and it was a Youth on the Air kit for the original, the premier Youth on the Air camp, and it was a kit build exercise that was done. From there, it turned into a kit that everybody wanted, and it's been loved on quite a bit by quite a lot of people, and you can do quite a lot of amazing things with the QCX. Hans himself made the QCX Mini, which is a smaller version of the QCX. And then these guys, geniuses that they are, genii, if you will, took that and decided to do sideband on it. And what's amazing about this is that, number one, the community came together and made something that was awesome, more awesome. And they made something that was more awesome, even more awesome than that. That's number one. Number two, this radio should not do the things that it does. And that's pretty cool. Number three, this radio is open source. That is also fantastic. The reason why this radio shouldn't do the things that it does is because it's got an 8-bit microprocessor, like these guys. So you're asking an awful lot of an 8-bit microprocessor. I can't get into the details because I'm not smart enough to share them with you. But if you are smart enough to understand all the details of this thing, it's just amazing what it can do that it really shouldn't be able to do. From what I understand, the audio chain should not be able to exist. A couple of things right out of the gate with this thing. This speaker here, this speaker was put in there as a convenience, as a bonus to you, not as a, oh my God, this is the best high quality, high fidelity audio I'm ever going to get. This is on par with several stage musicians that I have heard throughout the years. No, this speaker is kind of your emergency backup inside of your emergency backup radio behind your higher quality, higher dollar radio. And that's not to say this is low quality, but this is exactly what you are getting for the price that you're paying. And the price that you're paying is about $100 US as I am recording this, which just continues to make this. That's number 4 step of awesomeness, $100 QRP radio. It has a built-in CW decoder. It does FM, it does AM, it does lower sideband, it does upper sideband. It has USB cable. You can power it over USB, or you can do cat control over USB. We'll have a future video about some cat control stuff. When you power it over USB, it doesn't put out the same amount of output power as when you power it off of 12 volts. So that's also pretty slick that it's got all of that going for it. Let's get this thing over on the bench. We're going to do a walkthrough on the menus. We're going to make some contacts. That's going to be interesting. And then we'll have some more videos coming out afterwards. So make sure you are subscribed for getting this thing onto FT8, because that's a thing. Maybe that's the 5th thing. I don't know. This thing's amazing. Let's go take a look. So let's talk about this radio. This is the True SDX, or the TR Micro SDX, or whatever it is that you want to call it. I call it the True SDX. It is by Manuel, DL2MAN, and Guido, PE1NNZ. And this radio it's got a fantastic lineage. It's fantastic inside. I love it. What we're going to do right now is we're going to go through the menus and tuning up some frequencies and some other stuff. But first, you might notice like how zoomed in my desk mat is here, because that's how small this is. So like I put it in my hand. That's my hand. That's how zoomed in we are to get this thing in frame. It is tiny. I love the fact that it's tiny. It's like a shirt pocket radio. So we've got 1/2-inch squares on the desk mat. Let's see. We've got 1 inch, 2 inch, a little over 2 inches, maybe 2 1/4. 2 1/4 tall, this direction here, the height direction. And for width, we've got 1, 2, 3, a little over 3.5 wide. And for thickness, we've got a little over 1 and change inches thick. So that's your 3.5, 2.5, 1-ish thick. So that's your size of this business card. Let's see, business card. You've got a business card. Typical standard business card size here. And the radio is about business card size. That's not a bad size comparison there. So about business card size tall and about business card size wide. So there you go, business card. Who would have thought that would have been the best way to feature size this thing? All right, so we'll take our little tiny power cord. For some reason, this is little tiny power cord. I don't know why. And we'll plug it into the little tiny power cord hole. And while we're doing that, we'll also give you a walk around the radio. It has the OLED screen. This is the same OLED screen that you'll find in your MMDVM hats. So that might give you a size reference for the size of the screen. Speaker on the front. This little slot right here is for the microphone. We have nice raised black lettering, and this appears to be more 3D printed material as opposed to like paint. I know nobody's going through the trouble to paint these things. Big VFO knob, menu, enter, push to talk button, and then the case is all bolted together to hold this thing. On the antenna side, we have the audio jack, the microphone key jack, and the SMA port for the antenna. I have been told that your Baofeng microphones will work with this, but obviously since the audio comes out of that hole, you're not going to be able to get the speaker mic function, just the mic function. These are both 3.5mm jacks, so standard audio connectors there. On the top is the power. On the bottom is the programming header to program your firmware. You may not see this. I had to open up my case and cut this thing open. And while I was in there, I got some pictures of it, and we'll show those blown up in a bit. USB, this is micro USB, and this is your PA connection, so you can connect to your amplifier and key that up. I do believe, but I haven't gotten that far in functionality yet, only on these. So look for a future video on PA functionality if we get that far. And I think we will, so it'll be okay. What do we have here? The power cord. Okay, so now, what can you do with this thing? Well, you can do upper sideband, or you can do CW, or you can do lower sideband. Let's go into the menu, because there's lots of really cool menu options in here. Volume. Volume is interesting. The internal speaker doesn't like loud volumes. It goes up to 16, and you can see that the speaker is just completely overdriven. So I wouldn't go past 11. I think 11's a good number to go to there. So let's get back out of here. We'll go back into menu. Mode, filter. It's got some good filter bandwidth here. 2.4, 1.8, 500, 200, 150. So it'll go down pretty low. And it goes up to 4. And then band, you can change bands. This one, it depends on how the radio is built or how you have reconfigured it, but this one has 20, 30, 40, 60, 80 built in. All right, what do we have? Tune rate, 1 kilohertz. So you can change this here. 1 kilohertz, 0.5 kilohertz, 100, 10, 1, 10K, 100K, half a meg, 1 meg, 10 meg. Ooh, 10 meg, that's a big tune step. I'm going to keep that at 0.5. And what you'll see, I don't know if you'll be able to see this on the camera very well or not. When you tap this once, there's a little caret that moves, and you can see it right next to the corner of the 0 there. And now it's right next to the corner of the next 0. And now it's between the 1 and the 4. And now it's next to the 0 between the 1 and the 0. And then it skips the 6, and it's next to the 0 again, and you can't really see it. But if I tune, you can tell it's going up by 1s. And then it goes up by half because I have the tuning step in the menu set to half. And then if I tap it again, it'll do singles. If I tap it again, it'll do that. So you can tune this as fast or as slow as you want. Let's get back to what would appear to be normal, and I pushed the wrong button. Let's get back to what it would appear to be normal. All right. Stop that. That was me. That was my fault. Okay, that's where I like to, this is where I like to tune my radios in general, is right there on that number. And then if I need to fine tune, then I'll make some changes. But I like to tune on that step. Let's get back into the menu and keep on going. VFO mode A, it's got an A and B VFO. Pretty straightforward there. I don't really get a lot of use out of that myself, but I'm sure a lot of people do. Let's get into upper sideband, CW. That ringing, I don't know, it doesn't happen with the external speaker. It only happens with the internal speaker. And I'm going to try and diagnose that some more in a future video. I'm going to switch this back to... Oh, FM. I'm switching back to USB. And then I'm going to tune up to some voice portion of the band. That's good. All right, let's get back into menu exploration. Filter bandwidth, band, tune rate, VFO mode. All right, so we did all those. It's got RIT. AGC is set to on, so automatic gain control. Is there a speed setting for that? Oh, it's better with it off. Interesting. Oh, so we'll leave that off. So there wasn't any speed setting or noise reduction. This actually works out pretty well. I was pretty impressed with how well that works. Attenuation settings, attenuator 2, S meter. So the S meter can go between words per minute if you're doing CW. Did it again. S bar, S. So S bar is a graphical display of what the S rating is. And then S itself, S bar is a graphical display. S itself is the number. So it'll say like S3. Let's get out of here. See, S3. So my noise floor is currently S3 according to the radio. And the speaker's turned down, so you really can't hear what the noise floor is. And then it will also do dBm, or nothing if you so desire. So minus 104 dBm. And as you're talking, that will actually change. And as the signal strength increases, that will change as you'd expect it to change. I like to leave it at the S meter itself, the S number. And then the SWR meter, I haven't seen much difference with this. This may or may not be implemented in the version of firmware that I have. I have seen on other radios where it'll actually tell you the amount of output power. So that's pretty nice. So let's go back in here. CW decoder. The CW decoder in this works really well. Let me show you what that sounds like. So what we'll do is we'll turn that on. And we'll get back out of the menu. Stop that. Get back out of the menu. Okay, and then I've got my Morse code paddle. This is a 3D printed Morse code paddle to go with the 3D printed radio case, and you can see it's about the size of the radio. Let's plug in the key, and let's go in and change the settings. So semi-QSK, keyer speed is 18, that works good. Paddle mode is iambic A, and then keyer swap. I don't know why you have an iambic A, iambic B, and then a keyer swap. That doesn't make much difference to me. And then practice so it doesn't go out on the air. Let's try that, because we can. Let's go down to a CW frequency and see what happens. Nothing should happen, but let's see what happens when we get down there. 14050. And we'll set that to CW. Yeah, so it's going into practice. So it says R for receive, and then when I key up, it says P for practice. What did we do? Huh? We just locked up the processor. Yep, okay, perfect. So there you go. CW decoder works fantastically. And it works for sending and for receiving, and it does a pretty good job. If you remember in my micro SDX video for this other radio here, for this thing, the CW decoder in this one here was fairly real time, and that, I think that's bad. It was neat that it did it, but I think it's the wrong thing to do. And the reason why is because if you're trying to learn, it's going to be really hard to learn. So we dropped back to menu option 1.1, and that's because the radio locked up and then reset itself. This is a computer, it is a SDR, so it can do that. And of course there are firmware updates, so the more often that happens, the more likely it is to get fixed. So that takes care of the CW stuff. Vox, voice operated radio, noise gate, TX drive, TX delay, CQ interval 5. So it does have stored CQ messages, and it'll just repeat itself until you stop. There's the CQ message. I don't currently use CQ messages because I am still learning and I like to key it in manually just to reinforce my keying skills. PA bias minimum, PA bias maximum. You can change these around to change your power output. And let's see, the reference frequency. So this comes at 27000000, and I found that the radio was about half a kc off. And so I fooled around with another radio that I have, and I figured out 270000800 was good for me. Go in here and mess with this, and don't be afraid of it, because all you're doing is moving the receiver out from underneath of the speaker, so you'll be able to key it in where it's supposed to be. You can't hurt anything by doing that. I did find that the output transmit was fine. It was on frequency, so there wasn't anything to worry about there. R shunt, I don't actually know what that is. Low pass filter config, and there's a couple of settings here: low, high, classic. Lots of things in here you can play with. The manual still needs some more ink in it, and they've admitted to that, and it's not a problem. It's just, they're trying to get this into your hands pretty quickly. 9.7 firmware. So, and you can actually change that, and I don't know why you would change that, but I can change that. I shouldn't be able to change that. I think that should be just telling me my version of the firmware. Because the speaker in here is as wonderful as it is, I picked up this speaker. This speaker came recommended from Bob over at HOA Ham YouTube channel. And this is a very small battery-powered speaker that has a USB charging option. Let's crack this thing open. So in the box we get the speaker. We get a nice little carrying pouch. That's pretty cool. That's pretty stiff. Urgh. So a nice little carrying pouch for that, and a USB charging cable. And this USB charging cable, if this is not a data cable, and it kind of doesn't feel like it, if this is not a data cable, I would swap this out for a USB data cable, so that way you can do cat control with the radio. So I'm going to take that cable, I'm going to put it in there, and then later on I'll find out whether it's USB data or not. And I'm going to turn the speaker on. You press the backside to turn it on, and there's a light on the top. There it is. And then it stays steady on. So now we've got some sound. And I'm going to change the mode. Let's zoom back in. Too much. All right, there we go. I'm going to change the mode. Back to upper sideband. And then we're going to tune way up and find some voice signals. Let's change that filter bandwidth down also. Okay, so now let's pull the Morse code key out. Let's put the antenna in. And let's find some frequencies. Find some signals.
Most of it is California style Mexican food, because all the Californians are moving over to Texas.
All right, so we got a frequency tuned in here.
The Californian invasion. Lots of New Yorkers and lots of from this side of town. And
So that external speaker is
my
doing really
victims, I'm
well.
sorry, my customers are from California.
That external speaker is doing really well there. Let's turn it back up a bit.
Yeah, that's what it is. They kind of ruin it for us because they're going up like crazy.
See what else we can get. My attenuation, look at that.
Thank you very much for the 5-5 out of Idaho there. Yeah, unfortunately, I got you about a 4-4. A 4-4 there, buddy, but I got you in the log. Over, over. Roger, roger. Thanks. Okay. All right, John, you mobile safely out there, buddy, and thanks for the call. This is outbound 4 Sierra Sierra, post on the air in Virginia, post 3378. uSDX.
Kilo Mike 9 Golf.
All right, do I have a Alpha station?
Nope, you have a Kilo Mike 9 Golf station.
All right, I've heard a Delta Mike Sierra. Go ahead.
No, you heard a Kilo Mike 9 Golf.
Delta Mike Sierra. Was one of these stations a QRP?
That was me. Kilo Mike 9 Golf, QRP. Kilo Mike 9 Golf.
All right, Kilo Golf 5, Tango Bravo Lima. Is that a QSL?
No. Kilo Mike 9 Golf, QRP.
Alpha Delta 0 Yankee Lima. Thanks for the call, Paul. You're 5-9, over.
Kilo Mike 9 Golf, QRP.
All right, was that Kilo 5, Queen
No.
Delta Fox?
No.
All right, do I have a station out there beginning with Alpha?
No. It'll take a long time for him to get to the K's in the alphabet if he does that.
Alpha 5, November Tango. Thanks for the call, Rich. You're 5-9 into Florida. Or, you're in Florida. I got you at 5-9 here in Virginia.
This guy don't know where he's
All
at.
right, Rich. Well, hey, thank you very much for hunting me down there. I think I'm still in Virginia, over. Outbound 4 Sierra Sierra, QRZ.
Kilo Mike 9 Golf, QRP.
Whiskey 2, Juliet Lima Delta.
No, he wins. Kilo Mike 9 Golf, QRP.
Did I have a Kilo Alpha 5?
No. KM9G, QRP. No. Kilo Mike 9 Golf, QRP. No. Kilo Mike 9 Golf, QRP.
Alright, that Kilo India 5, Oscar X-Ray Quebec. Alright, Curtis, thank you very
Alright,
much.
finally I'm giving up on this guy. Is the frequency in use, KM9G. CQ20, CQ20, this is Kilo Mike 9 Golf calling CQ20, CQ20, KM9G calling CQ on 14245, 14245, KM9G calling CQ, 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 and listening.
Kilo India 4, Charlie Fox United.
Kilo India 4, Charlie Fox United, QSL.
QSL, your call, please.
My call is Kilo Mike 9 Golf, KM9G. You are 5-9 into Northwest Wisconsin. 5-9 Northwest Wisconsin. QSL?
QSL, and you are 5-9 into Tennessee. Tango November.
Wow, 5-9, 5-9. That's amazing. This is one of those new true SDX radios. I'm at 5 watts here in Wisconsin.
Oh, got good copy, good copy. QSL?
QSL, the good copy. Thank you very much for the contact. And 73 to you, my friend.
73, good luck.
Okay, it can be done. Awesome. If I didn't get it on tape, I wouldn't have known I wouldn't have believed myself if I didn't get it on tape. Whew. All right, so I tried for quite a while to make some contacts. I've been playing with this thing for the past couple of hours, some hours before I started recording the video, some hours while I was recording the video. I tried to bust some pileups. Friends don't let friends try to bust pileups with QRP. You're asking for headaches, you're asking for trouble. So after a while of trying that, I went out and found myself a clear frequency. It worked. I called CQ a couple of times. I got a contact back on CQ call, and I got a 5-9 from Tennessee. 5-9 from Wisconsin to Tennessee, 5-9 both ways, fantastic. I was pretty excited about that. Where does this radio fit in the plan? There are a lot of radios out there. This radio fits solidly, squarely in the, oh my god, it's an amazing QRP kit part of the plan. This doesn't fit into the, I spent $1,500 on a radio, why doesn't this thing do the things that I think it should do? This is every bit of a $100 radio. You will be very impressed if you give it $100 worth of perspective. You'll be even more impressed if you get it in kit form and build it yourself. If you don't want to go through the trouble, This guy here did not want to go through the trouble. I bought this secondhand. It's supposed to be an official radio. I have a firmware serial number. So far, everything checks out. No problems there. I've built a bunch of radios on this channel before. I had kind of toroid fatigue and didn't want to build this one because I've got an amplifier I got to build behind me that's got some toroids in it. So I'm like, I'll take a pass on this one. It'll be fine. And we'll do more radio kits in the future. So get one, play with it, enjoy it. It's fantastic. Put it in your back pocket. If you sit on it, don't cry, because you can probably fix it. All right, so real quick, there are a couple of places to get this radio. I have linked one of them in the description down below because there are some clones out there that are not as good as this thing is. I have one of the clones, and it's different. Schematics are out there. We will go over the schematics a little bit because I want to point out some awesome things on the schematics. And we will go over some of the chips that are on here. One of the things that is really interesting about this radio, Arduino 5351 chip, BS170 transistors. You've got schematics. You've got source code. You could build this thing yourself and you could learn quite a bit about radio. So we're going to do some exploring on this. Make sure you're subscribed for future videos on this. Either way, there's a video right over there that I think you will enjoy next. Thanks for being awesome. We'll see you in the next one.